Will they stay married? Will Brittany and Will stay married? Let's see. So, Brittany said she was looking for someone committed to a mature relationship. But Will said he's looking for a fun and intelligent wife. Being mature wasn't in his description. Now, I know some people might say that intelligence is indicative of maturity, but that just isn't always the case. And this is one of those times. Brittany is indeed an intelligent woman, you can tell. But the maturity that she requests of her husband is totally lacking in her. That immaturity has been displayed numerous times throughout the season. Most specifically, in my opinion, was when she was upset with Will's style of communicating with her. Instead of her communicating her feelings, she got all upset in her feelings, and she stated she was going to take a shower or a bath, whichever one it was, she said. But instead of her doing just that, what she did was she left the house without saying a word to Will. Is that mature? I think not. Now, one good thing is that both of them wanted kids, and they both wanted better in their lives than their parents had, because with her parents lacked that affection, and she didn't want that in her relationship. And then with Will, his parents got divorced when he was 12 years old, and he doesn't want that. Now, what he did like is the fact that they had a good relationship, even though they were divorced. But just the fact that they were divorced at 12, when he was 12, he just did not want that. So also, when I think about the wedding day for Brittany and Will, I think that they genuinely appeared to be attracted to one another. I know they had some people saying that he just wasn't into her or whatever, but I don't think that. I think they were both genuinely interested in each other, attracted to one another, and they were indeed very vocal about it in their interviews when the experts talked to them about it. Now, I did see some red flags in the marriage. For instance, with Will, I think he was holding back a whole lot. I do think he was doing that because he was focused on past male members of the show. And I feel like he just did not want to be perceived or viewed in a way that those past male members were viewed, such as Akichi, and we know how terrible that was. And I think that played an intricate part in stunting the growth of their marriage. I feel that if he would have been a little bit more outspoken with his words and with his actions, that maybe Brittany would have been less stressed about her insecurities. However, I do not believe he should have had to deal with her insecurities. He should have been able to just bring what he brought to the table, and they equally got to know each other. I feel like when you're ready for marriage, you must be ready for marriage. You should have spent time alone so that you could deal with and heal from the damage of past relationships. And I don't know if she did that. And until you do that, I feel like you just shouldn't get into anything new. You shouldn't start any new relationships, because it's totally unfair for that other person to have to take on that baggage that someone else had left behind. And that's exactly what she was doing in this scenario. He's having to deal with the baggage that other guys left behind. Because if you think about it, Brittany said in the beginning that she never made it past the 3-month mark with any of her past relationships. And when I heard that, I was like, does that mean that she just picks poorly when she's picking a guy to date? Or is it just her personality? And I'm more inclined to lean toward the latter, because she just expressed so much of the insecurity, and I saw how it was getting to Will. I mean, she had mad insecurities, and that would definitely wear anybody down. And I can clearly see where Will was constantly trying to reassure her, even though in my opinion, like I said before, he shouldn't have to do that. But he was trying. And most of the times, his actions and words were perceived by Brittany negatively. because she was clearly holding on to past relationships and holding on to the insecurities that those past relationships or her life, something else in her life, brought on. I must admit, throughout the episode, they did have some good moments, made me smile, and those good moments showed some promise. However, of course, Brittany always seems to sneak her insecurities in. Those insecurities have been doing quite a number on Will. I don't know if anybody else picked it up, but Will had this tendency of gritting his teeth, and you could see it because of his temple bouncing, pulsing up and down. And I noticed he did it for two reasons. He did it when he was very emotional, and then he did it when he was trying to restrain himself. Now he did it on the wedding night when she was wedding day when she was giving her vows. That's emotional. He did it when his mom was crying and he was trying to fight back tears. And then every time they got into it, he would do it then too. Now that could be a mixture of emotions because he really liked her and didn't like how it was turning out. Or it could have just been because he was just frustrated and trying to hold back, trying not to be like a Kichi or giving off some bad vibes so that other people could think negatively about him. I think he did not want that, which anybody would feel that way. Why would you want to get on national television and make a dumb fool of yourself, So I think he was really trying to hold back a lot. I think Brittany has proven to be way, way too sensitive. And I think that her sensitive and insecure attitude actually caused her to miss out on the one thing that she was there for. And that was to learn about her new husband, to see what he was all about. For instance, I do see a touch of a mama's boy in Will. And I think if Brittany would have picked up on that, maybe she would not have expected so much from Will. Because it seems like to me she was looking for him to validate her feelings of insecurities, looking for a way for him to make her, she was looking for him to make her feel more secure by saying what she thought he should say. She wanted him to say things in a way that she wanted or needed to hear it. And I just think that's bad. And also another bad thing with her is that whenever he would start a conversation, questions, or just talk about anything, she would give direct and closed responses, something that he couldn't follow up on. And then when he goes quiet, she doesn't do anything to try and pick up the conversation or keep the conversation going. And I think she should have been doing more. I mean, if you say you're this intelligent person and you say you're this type of person who can communicate well, there should never have been those lapses of silence within when you guys were trying to hold conversations, because being such a great communicator, you would have been able to carry that conversation. The fact that you couldn't means you're putting more into who you're saying you are than it really is. So anyway, I must say that after a few sessions with the experts, both of them seem to have been putting into action the things that the experts were trying to tell them that they needed to do so that their marriage could work. I did see that. Even though, of course, still, Brittany would mess it up a little bit because of her assumptions, analyzing his every word. You can't do that to someone. And I think if Brittany can avoid all the games, such as stop asking Will questions, waiting for responses to validate her insecurities, then maybe they could work. Because I do, like I said before, think he was genuinely interested in her. I'll tell you this. If the marriage doesn't work, I do believe that it will be because of Brittany's insecurities. And what I do see happening on decision day, I see the experts asking her first, asking Brittany, what do you want? Do you want to stay married or do you want a divorce? And I feel that because of her being fearful of what he's going to say, I think she's going to say no so as to save face, which would be a bad thing because we're supposed to always go with our heart. If the other person say no, fine. That means you did everything you can and you could feel good walking away from it. And if that's how she handles all her relationships, that may be the reason why she has such insecurities. Because you wouldn't feel insecure if you knew you did everything you were supposed to be doing in that relationship and that you gave it your all, there's no reason to feel insecure. I feel confident in who I am. I know I gave everything and I am good. But because of her, and you know, I can understand it. Who wants to feel hurt? And that's probably what caused her to put up the walls, you know what I'm saying, in her relationship. Now, I just want to tell you guys this. I do apologize because I really wanted to analyze for you guys all 5 couples, especially Rhonda and Pat, along with Megan and Derek. But I just couldn't find the time. You know, I'm working a 9 to 5, and I really should say I'm working a 10:30 to 7. Those are some strange hours, you know. By the time I get off work, then I have to eat. There's no time to do anything, you know. And after being on the computer, because I work from home, being on the computer all day, you know, my eyes, I don't have the best eyesight because of being hit in the eye with an apple when I was younger. So I can't stay focused on that screen that long for that duration and then come back and be on the computer some more. So I had to give myself a break. I tried to get my script and everything together, but after I did Brittany and Will, the eyes started bothering me, getting blurry on me. I moved to the computer, no good. Everything on the computer was blurry too, so I just needed to rest my eyes. So I do apologize for that. But anyway, I'm going to just do a quick little, I would just simply state who I think will make it, who will stay married, and a little bit on why I think they will. So as far as Rhonda and Pat, absolutely not. I think it's even more so because it feels like, I think that it would be, I don't want to say anything bad because marriage is marriage, and once we get married, we're supposed to stay married, right? That's what the Bible tells us. But I really and truthfully don't believe that they will stay married. If they do, it will truly be a shocker to me. I think that Rhonda was way too demanding of Pat. True enough, she was valid in saying that he was self-centered, that he was only thinking about himself, because that's all he did, talk about himself, talk about himself. Never once let her get 2 words in so she could say anything about herself. But when she came to him about it finally and let him know, he genuinely started trying to work on it. And I just feel like she needed to give him some grace because of that genuine process that he was going through, trying to make sure he includes her and show that he cares about her. And I think he was showing signs of improvement myself. And I think she just got so hooked up on the issue that it got so bad that it started being with her testing him. Of sorts of who wants to feel like they're being tested, you know, or being put to the test. And I think that's exactly what she was doing. And I think he even said that in one of the episodes. And I really and truthfully don't blame Pat for being fed up with that. I saw it in his face multiple times, you know, even though she'll come back and they'll start talking to each other again. That gets really old really fast. And I can see it in Pat's face. But I think that on decision day, she might say yes to marrying him. And the reason why it's staying married to him, and the reason why I say that is because even though she stresses her disappointment, she always come right back at it. Of course, that's what they're supposed to be doing, using this time to try and make it work, to get over whatever it is that they're going through. But I think her, she really want to be married. And so if that's all she can find wrong with him, I think that's good enough for her. And that's why I think she's going to go ahead and say yes to the marriage. But I do think he will be the one to say no. So for her, in her case, I think it would be better for him to go first, so he can be the one to say no, and therefore she won't have anything to worry about. You know, and then moving on to Megan and Derek, I do think that they will stay married, and it's not because of the baby, but rather because Derek seems to be so enamored with her. And as for Megan, I'm just sorry to say this. I want to say that outright, especially if I'm wrong. But until proven otherwise, I really and truthfully have to wonder. I will continue to wonder if Megan was pregnant before the show started. All that rigmarole she was talking about, saying she didn't want them to get too deep into each other's lives and tell anything. Anytime he started asking her about things, she got on the defense. And I think it's because she probably felt like it will come up some kind of way that about a relationship that she was in. She just didn't want him to ask certain questions. That's the feeling that I got out of it. And I don't know. And I just think that all of that was just purely a smoke screen because she knew she was trying to hide something. And in my opinion, it's the fact that she was married coming into that. She found out, she probably put in for it, and in the wait realized that she was pregnant. And so that's the best way to do it. Because if you feel like you don't want to have a baby, why would you have to have those conversations when we're going to start having babies. And of course you're not going to want to have a baby before you guys do the decision date, especially if you so adamantly saying that you didn't want kids, but she was saying she'll have them if he wants to. I think that was a bunch of bull, saying that she didn't want any in the first place, so that it won't raise questions when she did become pregnant. Well, you know, I didn't even want to have a baby. Psst. Come on. Moving on to Jalen and Josh. I do think they will stay married because I want them to, really. But I do think she may be one to throw a curveball. Because she seems that she's learned some things about him that she just can't get past, such as the association he had with his ex, as well as the differences that they have in their likes and their dislikes. Now, I think they should stay together only if Josh decides to stay out of touch with his ex, because I agree with her there. There's no reason for you to be in constant association with your ex unless you guys had a child together, and there was never any mention about having a child. Now but I do think if he does that, they should try and work it out and see where it goes, because the likes and dislikes issue that can easily be dealt with. And I really like the way they were progressing on the show and how they were together. You know, they really genuinely seemed like they cared about each other. Josh seems like he really cares about Jalen, and she really acts as if she cares about him. Moving on to Belinda and Chad, the final couple. I believe that they will not stay married. I mean, from his nonchalant attitude and vocal displayed anger, along with her accusatory and unforgiving tendencies, can also prove damaging in the relationship. I feel like a marriage is one of self-sacrificing, and both of them, their negatives that they have, his nonchalant attitude and displaying of anger so quickly, along with her accusations and being unforgiven, I think those are very opposite of being self-sacrificing. So that's it in a nutshell. We shall see tonight whether or not I am on point. But until my next video, peace, you guys.